I'm Joe Marino, and Josh Allen reminded everyone he's still the NFL MVP.
I'm the big O, Jerry Ostroski. Would somebody please tell the Buffalo Bills there are 60 minutes in an NFL football game, not 30. You're watching the Locked On Network, and this is Bill Squad.
Who's ready, Bills Mafia? It's the Bills Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Buffalo Bills, every week. Breaking down the big hits and game-changing plays the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. So gear up and squad up. The Bill Squad show starts now.
Welcome in, Bills Mafia. Joe Marino here, host of Locked On Bills, joined by Jerry Ostroski, over 100 game starter for your Buffalo Bills on this post-game victory episode. The Bills knock off the Patriots 35-31 and stay alive in the AFC East. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Jerry, I'm glad they keep score for all 60 minutes. Otherwise, we'd be feeling some type of way. That was a rough start, but another vintage finish for this Buffalo Bills football team.
I mean, you want to talk about mistakes, and it wasn't just players, it was everybody. Start with the lack of a challenge on the catch.
Ugh.
Then you go to a missed throw by Josh Allen that had a wide open Kincaid. Then you go to the interior offensive line that don't pick up the blitz and trade it off correctly. Then you go to the defense that can't fit the run. It was like one after another, and it was like, did we show up today? Did we prepare this week? And then, of course, they come out the second half like, oh, yeah, we've been here all the time, man. We're good to go. And they put up a second half like that. I mean, just a tale of two halves, obviously, but, man, they've got to figure out a way to start better than they do.
Jerry, I thought the Bills were just going to roll over and hand it to them.
Yeah.
Just hand it to them right in front of their home fans with Diggs and Hollins getting all animated on the sideline. I thought they were just going to take it in the most convincing fashion manageable. And then they just kept playing. The Bills erased the deficit, 5 consecutive touchdown drives. The defense makes stops. And boy, we're having a really different conversation than the one I feared we were going to have at about 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Joe, what did we both say on Thursday on this Bill Squad show? When you talked about the two quarterbacks, you talked about the two teams, what did we say? One of those guys has faced adversity. He's faced the fire, and he is very comfortable in tough situations. The other one, we don't know because he's never been in that spot. And the second half proves just that. Josh Allen lives for moments like this. Drake May, as good as he is, he still has a lot to learn as far as how to handle adversity.
And Jerry, that's one of my big takeaways. That's why I said what I said with the cold open. I think I've been as complimentary as anybody can be about Drake May and what he's proven in his NFL career. But the second half of this game was his opportunity. That was your MVP moment. That was your chance to take it from the Buffalo Bills. And then their second half drives, while they're leading 24-7 at halftime, they go punt, interception, touchdown. Thanks. Really not. I mean, it was nothing to do with Drake May. Cool block, but it's a one play. The Bills over pursued into a punt and a turnover on downs. Inaccurate throws, indecisive. The Bills didn't even rush. They didn't even rush. They said, sort it out, make a throw. He didn't make the throw. And so I think the world of Drake May, but that was a flop of a second half. And you saw who the NFL MVP was, who led their team on 5 consecutive touchdown drives in the second half to stay alive in the division.
It was the determining factor of the football game. And when you looked at this defense, and, in the first half, they got beat up a little bit on some stuff that we've seen throughout the season. But the big run by Henderson later in the game was a poor fit, like you talked about. It was self-inflicted stuff. It wasn't like the Patriots were just coming out and really just, ripping it and causing us to have these bad plays. A lot of them, again, were self-inflicted wounds. But, we talked about it. You just talked about it again. Drake May is going to be a very good quarterback in this league, and he is a good quarterback in this league. But until you have faced the fire and faced the adversity over and over again, you don't know how a guy like that's that young is going to react in those situations. Say what you will. This wasn't on the road for Drake May. This is in a very comfortable environment. He was at his house, the weather they want, the fans he wants, put it all out there. The script was in his favor, but yet wasn't able to get it done against, like you said, the reigning MVP, Josh Allen.
Jerry, what do you make of this third down discrepancy for the Buffalo Bills in terms of defense at home versus on the road? Statistically entering this game, they're the worst third down defense at home. They're the best on the road. It's like a 25% difference. The Bills go 5 of 10 defensively on third downs in this game, but I think the important ones that matter were the ones that in the second half they got the stops. I mean, you're supposed to cheer at home and be loud on third downs, but is that hurting? Is that hurting this Bills third down defense?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. And that's the funny thing is, maybe there's going to be some advanced analytics coming up that can give us a hint, but no. And I don't know, man. I think sometimes this Bills team likes to be on the road. They seem to have a good time on the road. They like to get away. I think sometimes there's so many expectations on a football team. And I know sometimes I felt that way, especially after you had some bad games. You playing at home is kind of pressure packed. And sometimes it's a relief to get away from your home fans, to go on the road and get in that environment where everybody's against you and you can come together as 53 as a group, And I think that's kind of what this Bills team is about. We don't have a ton of talent in a lot of spots because of injury and all that, but we've got a lot of guys. We make fun of them because we keep re-signing these older vet type players. But there's something about those guys in these situations. They've been there. There's nothing you could throw at Jordan Poyer that he hasn't seen. There's nothing you could throw at Big Phil that he hasn't seen, or Joey Bosa and the likes, Shaq Thompson. These are guys that have lived through it, the good and the bad. And I think there's something about that, just being on the road, being together, and knowing what the task at hand is. And this Bills team, obviously, especially the defense, does much better on the road sometimes than at home.
Bills fall down 21-0 with just under 6 minutes left in the second quarter. They're panning to the Bills sideline. The team looks defeated, right? Guys are pretty lifeless on the sideline. It feels like the Patriots are going to run away with it. And then the rest of the game happened. Jerry, how does a team get out of a rut like that? I mean, what do you point to in this game that galvanized this football team? Was it just stacking touchdown drives? Is it pointing to the resume that you had all season long where these moments have persisted and they keep getting out of it and you just feel like you're never out of it? I mean, this says something. It says something about how bad the team wants to start, but it says a lot more probably about how they finished.
Yeah, veteran leadership, a player-led team has the ability to come back from hard times. I don't know what McDermott talks about at halftime. I'd like to hear it sometimes. We always hear his post-game, but his halftime stuff must be amazing. As bad as some of the decision-making was in the first half, not just by Sean with the lack of going and throwing the red flag on that pass, but some of the play calls by Brady. Then you had some of the defensive stuff going on. Whatever they do at halftime works, but I think a big part of that is this. I think with this Bills team, a lot of it is it's not schematics, okay? It's not like you go into the halftime and you're like, man, we're just getting our heads beat in by a better football team. A lot of times it's like we talked about with some of this fit stuff on the outside. It's self-inflicted wounds. Just do your job. I think it's why it's funny. Every time they catch Sean McDermott coming out of halftime, what does he always say? We got to fit. We got to do our job. If we do our job, we'll be fine. Yeah. Right? Like it's not like we're going out there and we're just getting our heads bashed in by a better football team. Just do your job. You're 1/11th of the equation. And they take that to heart, and all of a sudden they get a little bit of momentum and this thing gets going the right way.
Yeah, I love to just kind of, I love to talk the X's and O's of football scheme stuff, and we certainly will do that today. But in this opening segment, just kind of focusing in on how we feel. This team's taking us on an absolute roller coaster, whether it's this game, whether it's this season. They're alive. Obviously, we know what the path is for the Bills to win the division. They got to win the next 3. And the Patriots have to lose to either of the Jets or the Dolphins. You see that I tried to combine the Dolphins. That was going to be the Dolphins there. Maybe there's something we can build on there. But point being, the Bills are forcing New England to fight, right? I think that's a big part of this. Where if they get their hat and T-shirt after this game, they're in contention obviously for the number 1 seed, but they're in a really good spot in terms of navigating the last 3 weeks of the season against 3 teams with losing records. And having the division wrapped up and potentially just really being able to optimize your operation for your postseason run. Now they have to fight. They got to fight they got to fight until the end, as long as the Bills keep winning. The Bills are forcing New England to fight to the end. And maybe, look, it's not today, Drake May, right? Maybe it's next week or the week after or whatever, but it's not today. And I think keeping the Patriots in the fight is really important for the road forward, knowing that they could be a potential playoff opponent and that this division it's not over. The race is not over, and it could come down to week 18.
Exactly. And I think it forces New England to play their players, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be no rest weeks for the New England Patriots. They got to play to win their division. They got to play it out. Like you said, the other thing is, especially when you start looking at the Bills, you look at the Patriots, the Patriots at some point in time, I mean, the pregame stuff was great. We heard about Vrabel and all the extra meetings he has to, they discuss all the different, reviewable scenarios in the league and all the things that they do and this, that, and the other. At some point in time, a team has to have substance. They got to have something to them. There comes a point in time you got to go out on the field and make those plays. And I think that was the difference with the Bills and the Patriots today. You can talk about it all you want, but at some point you got to do it. And, this was huge for the Bills. We talked about it on Thursday again. What if, people are like, well, man, what if we have to go to New England again and play a wild card in New England? I'm all for it. What did you see today other than, like I said, in the first half, there was self-inflicted stuff. And also, too, if you remember, they got some momentum and McDaniel emptied the special column on his big play sheet, right? He ran about 3 or 4 or 5 different special plays, tried to almost kind of run it up and yuck it up and get that thing going. And that falls into what I was saying. That's fine, but at some point you got to have substance. And I'm all for it if we go up there in the wild card. Let's do it again.
Yeah, especially that would mean they won the division. So you'd have a great opportunity to make that statement. I think that's a good point, Jerry. And it kind of lost in the buildup of this game is that this is a Patriots team that was coming off of their bye week, right? They had the extra time to prepare. The Bills are in a dogfight with the Bengals last week, and not only a bye week, but a bye week where you're home. As comfortable of a scenario as you can have to play a football game. And they came out and looked like a really fresh football team that was ready to go. But you got to keep playing the entire game. And obviously the Bills were able to not only counterpunch, but start to land some knockout blows and win a football game. And, it's hard to reconcile this script for the Bills. It really is, we watching this team now. It's 14 games, Jerry. And by this point in the season, I can usually say, okay, well, this is the script. This is the formula. This is what they do that can help them, optimize their chances of winning a football game. Well, it's not really a thing to give up 3 consecutive touchdown drives. And now we're ready to go, right? Like this is our chance is to get down by 3 scores and play the rest of the game. Obviously it is Josh Allen. It is James Cook. It is a defense that somehow comes alive and gets big stops. But in terms of pointing to this 2025 Buffalo Bills football team and saying, hey, this is their script. I mean, I guess it's just their script is that you got to beat them for 60 minutes. It's going to be a dogfight for 60 minutes. And I think that's loud and clear. I mean, the comebacks for this team have been unbelievable. The game-winning drives, I'll tell you, there's a lot of ball game left, but Josh Allen is creeping into this MVP conversation in a big way. And I think this type of win on the road with 5 consecutive touchdown drives when you're down 21-0. I mean, come on. He figured it out. He figured it out.
And the other thing is, he beat the guy that was kind of the favorite for the MVP at his house, spotting him a 21-point lead and came ahead and came along and beat him. But, I was feeling somewhat okay at 21-7 when they had the momentary lapse of reason once again at the end of the first half with a poor management situation, allowed New England to kick the field goal to take the 17-point lead. I was worried about that 3 points hanging over our head, but then they come out and they do exactly what they had to do: score on the first drive, get off the field, and then that thing starts going in a Buffalo Bills manner that we've seen now for quite some time. The 2025 game script. But yeah, it wasn't shocking, but it was a bit disappointing early about how they showed up and just the lack of competing and the lack of execution and the amount of mistakes that they made early on in this game.
All right, we got plenty to get to here on this Bills squad post-game reaction to the Bills win 35-31 over the Patriots in Foxborough, improving to 10-4. The Patriots fall to 11-3, and we got a race on our hands, folks. Coming up next, I want to talk to Jerry about the beginning of this game, whether that's the inactives, right? Gabe Davis, a healthy scratch, and then, of course, that opening sequence of the 3rd and 7 no challenge, then the replay assist just being right there for that Brandon Cooks play. We'll get into that and more here on the other side of it, folks. Be sure to stick with us. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it, so when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. It's a great gift for grandparents, parents, newlyweds, anybody who loves photos. You get endless uploads of pictures and 30-second videos through the Aura app. You can add a personalized message right inside the frame, so the gift feels thoughtful from the moment that it's open. And check this out. I love this. Packaging comes gift ready. There's no price tag, no wrapping needed. It's a huge win. And check it out for a limited time. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Joe Marino, host of Locked On Bills, 0-game starter for the Buffalo Bills, joined by Jerry Ostroski, over 100 games started for the Buffalo Bills. And speaking of starting games, well, this was a weird start. The Patriots get the ball first, and get him into a 3rd and 7, and Drake May makes a throw down the field to Kayshon Boutte that is called a completion. It certainly looked like the ball was trapped against the ground. No challenge from Sean McDermott, no replay assist, and they go on to score a touchdown. And then the next drive, the Bills get their chance to throw the ball down the field to Brandon Cooks, and he triple catches the ball, and it's called a catch initially, and then replay assist comes out very quickly. Now, credit to Mike Vrabel, he threw the challenge flag, but really, replay assist was the reason it was overturned. The referee didn't go look at any tape. Replay assist stepped in and said, that's incomplete. What the heck, man? What was that? I mean, obviously, point the finger at McDermott. Challenge the play. There's no reason to hoard that challenge. That's 3rd and 7, opening drive. To me, one of the underrated great things that can happen in football is if you start on defense and you force them to stop, and now you're +1 possessions the rest of the way, and you get a double dip opportunity. That's the best thing you can do to start a game.
You're +1, yeah.
He doesn't challenge the play to get off the field.
No, you're +1 on possessions. The Bills are the #1 first drive scoring team in the league. You know, everything, now all of a sudden you got momentum because your defense got off the field. I mean, everything's right there. I didn't understand that either. In whatever process they have, if they've got a guy in the box that's watching replays just to call down to McDermott, they need to reevaluate this and maybe look another way, because it seems to be an area of weakness as far as replays in the Bills. But to me, it was pretty obvious that was well worth the opportunity, especially what was at large, what was going on, and what you had, up against you. You've got to make that challenge. And that's the one drastic mistake this game that I just really did not understand.
Yeah, there's just you're worried about losing a timeout?
Right.
But also the ambiguity of replay assist and when it comes in and matters, and not like, does anybody understand this? We had a play a few weeks ago where the Bills were penalized, or were going to be in favor of getting a face mask. And in the middle of the referee calling the penalty, the guy's like, no, there's no, like, somebody needs to explain to the world replay assist when it comes into play. And like it doesn't make any sense. And when there's that level of disillusion, because I want to know, I care about this, and I don't have a clue, man. I don't have a clue.
Personally, anyway, with the technology that this league has now, I don't think we should have the red flag. Everything should be reviewed in the booth. It should be replay assist should happen, period. And if they think a team is trying to rush it and they're not ready, then the official calls the timeout to stop the play and let replay booth, let the replay officials look at it. But no, I mean, I don't know if this is, and Joe, I don't know. I thought about this a little bit during the game. I was trying to get my mind off what was going on the television, obviously in the first half, but I don't know if this is a byproduct of now McDermott being knee deep in the defense again. And that, I'm not worried about replay. I'm worried about the next defense because we just gave up about a 35, 40-yarder up the sideline. If that is the case, and I'm okay with that, okay? I'm okay with him calling defense. I'm not saying don't do it. Yeah. Obviously, it's been better since he's taken it over. But they've got to have a rock-solid process in hand and a guy that can't be like, well, I think, or maybe. To me, they need a guy in the booth that when he says it, it's done. There is no deliberation. He sees the replay. If he calls down, then you throw the flag, period. There's no discussion. And I think that might be where there needs to be a change. It can't be Sean's final say. There has to be a guy because it's so split second. When he sees it, he makes the call and it's done.
There's enough time to look. I think we got the slightest of looks at it between the called play and then the Patriots running up to get the playoff. We got a little look at it, and the only thing you gotta challenge the play. Even if who cares? Who cares if you don't get it? They went to the half with two timeouts to begin with. They got a chance to call a defensive timeout before the half. Yeah, just that's bad process, and those are the types of things that it's going to make it hard for McDermott to win people over. That he's got his doubters, right? And those type of operational things don't help, man.
Because as masterful as the second half was, and the coaching job he did out of the locker room, into the locker room and out of the locker room to win that game, that's not what's going to be talked about. It's going to be things like this replay. And this is why we need to change things. And, it's like, and that's, and it's his own making. And so whatever the process is, it needs to be changed and fixed because it's not working.
Gabe Davis, a healthy scratch in this game. So Buffalo gets back Josh Palmer. He got a catch for 16 yards, but, boy, a really bad false start and a really bad missed block. I have a big thought about that I'll get to here in a little bit. But Palmer back, Gabe Davis inactive, Coleman also active in this game. So right now, and I don't know that it's an indicator of what's going to be the case moving forward, but the odd man out at receiver right now is Gabe Davis, which feels interesting based on some of the chemistry that we've seen, the big moments, some big completions and big spots to Gabe Davis. And you're bringing in, obviously, a very shaky Keon Coleman and Josh Palmer, who's just doesn't seem like he can get into any rhythm with this offense right now.
Well, Josh Palmer's biggest issue is he's never on the field. So how can you get in a rhythm when you're never available?
Yeah,
and
I like the skill.
Yeah, but maybe next game he's back and he's healthy and we'll start getting back into a rhythm again. As far as keeping Gabe Davis off the field, that was very surprising to me. Don't know, they called it a healthy scratch, but there's things we don't see. I don't know if he had McDermott's such a big practice week guy. So maybe Gabe had a bad week of practice. Keon practiced well. They went that route, or they're trying to give Keon some sort of confidence. But in those types of games, especially the way that New England has pressured Josh in the past and put him in panic mode, scramble situations, we all know that Gabe and him are connected in that area. I'd have been playing Gabe Davis, but that's just me, and that's why I'm doing, instant reaction on YouTube, and I'm not on an NFL sideline.
Well, I think it's more your age, Jerry. I think if it's, I think you'd have a chance. No.
True.
So the interesting choice there. Christian Benford, of course, was inactive for this game. It does turn out that the practice injury on Friday keeps him out of the game, and you wind up having Trey White and Maxwell Hairston playing outside corner. Taron Johnson, of course, in the slot. The Bills are able to survive this game, and Trey White certainly made his plays down the field, but Max Hairston with a couple of really ugly run reps, including just being completely asleep on the one good play that New England made in the second half, which, when you're down 21-0, 24-7 at halftime, you don't have a lot of margin for error, and falling asleep on a backside run after you take the lead, right? You took the lead and you give it right back on the first play from scrimmage. AJ Epinesa, Maxwell Hairston kind of asleep at the wheel on the backside of that run. I think in watching Harrison this year, and obviously I look forward to watching the All-22 of this game, I see a lot of really good moments, but the mistakes that I see, they feel like really good mistakes to put on tape. I promise you, I'm not trying to cope that he made a mistake. Like, it's good for him to see the consequence of not being deliberate about being a backside defender. Going back to the touchdown he gave up to D. Higgins last week, and kind of analyzing that all 22, it's, hey, you're really reliant on speed, and that's good. You should be, but you also have to be able to get into their space and pin routes. And so I think there's a lot of really good coaching opportunities for Maxwell Hairston. The good news is this comes in a win, or else that could have been a decisive play that, would have the Patriots in their new hats and T-shirts right now.
Funniest thing about this whole conversation is we're talking about missing Christian Benford. And we're not talking about his coverability. We're talking about his run fits and just how good of a run fit corner that he is.
Maybe the best in the league.
Yeah. And in this Bills defense, you've got to fit as a corner or you can't play. And yeah, Max was not good in the running game today, did not fit well. But I go back to that big catch that wasn't challenged. Some young players need, early success is good for them. If we challenge that and that completion goes away, maybe he's got more, more mojo to him. He's feeling a little bit more free. It's hard as a young player. Sometimes you still think about some of the mistakes you make. But yeah, I think you're 100% correct on Max Hairston. It's like, you like, while it didn't cost us a victory, you like to see some of these things on tape because they're fixable. And we know Max is a willing tackler. It's not that he's not. It's the fact that you've got to understand at any moment, these guys in this league can bounce it on you, and now you're playing catch up and you don't have a chance. And so you've got to be correct all the time with your assignments. And obviously today he had some issues fitting the run, and they'll get it corrected. I feel pretty good about it.
That was honestly my thought when I learned that Christian Benford wasn't going to go for this game, was if the plan wasn't for him to follow Diggs into the slot, I think it's somewhat mitigated, because with all due respect to Kayshon Boutte and Matt Collins, they're not necessarily mismatch type players. Where I was concerned about missing Christian Benford was that run support element where, Stevenson's 240 pounds and Henderson runs 4.3, and you want to have that secure tackler on the edge. And, obviously I think that proved to be true in terms of where the Bills mostly missed Christian Benford. How about our guy, Daddy Knox, welcoming his baby girl to the world this week and getting 2 touchdowns and becoming the Buffalo Bills all-time leader for receiving touchdowns by a tight end, passing Pete Metzelaar's, a record that stood for a long time. Dawson Knox gets that. What a week. What a week, man. A baby girl, 2 tuds, and a dub.
Yep, 2 tuds and a dub, and might have a chance to get some weekly awards as well for what he's done, what he did on the field today. I think as well as he's playing, it's that whole tight end room that just stepped up. I mean, look at Jackson Hawes now become a viable option, especially now he's become the scramble drill expert out of the tight end guys. I mean, look at the last couple weeks, the wide open touchdown in the end zone, the 3rd down play that he converts on the outside after faking the block and then going to the flat. Very viable receiver, good hands. And I'm really surprised out of the evaluation of him coming out of college that he wasn't a pass catching option. I mean, I don't know, maybe the tight ends coach of the Bills, maybe he's that good and taught him how to catch, but he seems pretty smooth. Now, is he as smooth as the other 2 guys? No, they're elite, but he's more than good enough to make plays in the passing game. But no, all 3 of those guys. And I do think this, even though Cooks had the bobble that should have been a catch, they went at him one other time later in the game. You are starting to see the benefits of having a guy that can get down the field a little bit, because these tight end routes are opening up more and more on the underneath. And I think this Bills passing game today was in the second half was much better than it's been as of late.
The catch Kincaid made in the low red zone between 2 defenders was a heck of a snare. Oh, it was huge. Set up a more manageable situation down there. It ultimately ends in a touchdown. That was a great catch. And Knox with a couple of touchdowns, Jackson Hawes with a couple of catches, or 1 catch for 9 yards. It was a big one to convert. So the tight ends supposed to be a big part of this formula. They have been, and they show out once again in this game. I think that's, boy, how many touchdowns over the last 2 games is that? That's a good amount of production here late in the season out of this Bills tight end room. James Cook, 3 touchdown day for James Cook. He had been touchdownless the previous 2 games. It's not been since 2023 that he went 3 games in a row without a touchdown. I had a little prop bet on that, and an anytime touchdown for James Cook. He delivers with 3 of them in this game. What do you think about him extending that ball? It's been dicey. He leads the league in fumbles. You're not supposed to extend the ball at the goal line, but I guess I'm glad he did in that instance. But a really big effort for James Cook. And one thing that just overall watching James in this game, one of the big conversations that you and I had throughout the course of the week was a Patriots defense that we thought did as good a job as anyone in the league with inserting their corners and their DBs into the run fits. I thought the counter was James got the ball and went. Everything was quick hitting. Did you notice that? It wasn't pressing. It was get it and go. And at times, like he was like shot out of a cannon for a 4-yard run, but he was going. I think they were trying to mitigate some of that pursuit from those really outstanding tackling corners.
If you remember, I talked about that on Thursday, and I thought one of the keys was he needed to get in to the second level on the front side of the play and then bounce it. And you saw that quite a bit today. I thought he did a wonderful job, and that was the changeup. Not cutting back right away. It was pressing the front side hole and then getting back outside when he needed to. He's amazing, man. I mean, I'll tell you what, he's a special back. His ability to hesitate and find the openings in the offensive line in the running game, the quietest 107 you can imagine, right? I mean,
sure.
He just, for him anymore, ripping off 6-7 yards is just kind of what he does. Just a great day out of him, and seeing him now making some more plays in the passing game. Although I will say this, Joe, it seems that we have gotten away from the Shakir screen.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now the go-to play over and over again is the Ty Johnson screen out of the backfield. That's our new screen. But those guys have been making some plays in the passing game, and I'd like to see us not go to the well sometimes a little too often. But we do. And we got stopped. I mean, when they got 3 guys running to the spot before the ball's even caught, maybe they're onto it a little bit, but they have been effective in the passing game, the backs.
I thought generally, and I look forward to watching all 22 on this, the New England Patriots defensive game plan was they wanted to show a light box with 2 high safeties, and at the snap, they'd roll one down. And so you think you have a neutral box. At the snap, you don't against the run. And then it really muddies up the middle of the field. And so Josh Allen and the Bills offense, everything had to be towards the sideline, out breaking.
Right.
They were muddying up the middle of the field. It was very much, we saw what you did against Cincinnati. We're not going to go down that way, forcing some throws, out breaking. And I thought the Bills, while they struggled early to kind of get into the right rhythm, obviously they were able to figure that out. New England just wanted to muddy the middle of the field and then introduce, different box counts at the snap. Kind of the same thought from what you saw watching this game on the broadcast.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they did not want to mess around in the middle of the field. I think New England did a good job of taking that away. They were able to hit some plays outside and attack to the numbers and outside the numbers. And yeah, I mean, it was a very efficient day. Like I said, in the second half. Now they had plays to be made in the first half. We just missed them. Obviously the Cooks dropped, and then you also had the missed throw to Kincaid by Josh Allen. Josh did kind of revert back to a little bit of 3 to 4 game ago, Josh Allen, where he had some clean pockets and was seeing things and did some dipsy-doos and flipperoos and all those things that he does. I don't know what you call it. Pivot and reverse pivot, maybe.
I call it the unnecessary pirouette.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Unnecessary pirouette. That would make sense. But, sometimes he looks like a figure skater out there, like trying to, rip off a triple toe loop or a sock how or something like that. But, man, when he was good too. And what's funny is I think we saw a lot of plays that we've seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, the Ty Johnson, the ice it, the underneath handoff with the action, like you're going to, Josh opens up to the action of James Cook going to the right, like he's going to pitch it, underneath handoff to Johnson. That secures the win. We've seen that one from time to time. The Josh Allen, they did go back to the patented, kind of fake power look, James Cook or Ty Johnson leads Josh Allen running play that had some success. But yeah, I mean, you look at this thing and you talk about all the mistakes, you talk about all the positives. One of the things that the Bills are doing better than most teams in this league right now is they were 5 of 6 in the red zone today. Yeah. No turnovers, and those 5 plays were all touchdowns.
And the Patriots dead last in the NFL in red zone defense. That was a point of emphasis for them out of the bye, and not a good story to tell here in their first game out of the bye. All right, we got more to do here. Coming up next, I want to get into some defensive conversation. Matt Milano with 2 sacks.
Yeah.
And I also have something in the second half offensively that bothered me in a big way. We'll lead off with that here on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us. NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place live bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. The receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a big turnover, and FanDuel lets you jump into that moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly and player props that get updated as guys heat up. You can bet the next touchdown score, drive result, total, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. I think I was tracking this during the game, and FanDuel had the Patriots -6.5 at halftime. So if you got in on that money line for the Bills, good on you. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this NFL season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Joe Marino, Jerry Ostroski here for your post-game reaction episode of Bills Squad. 35-31 winners over the New England Patriots, improving to 10-4. They're now 4-3 on the road. The Patriots are 11-3. All three of their losses coming at Foxborough. That's an interesting little nugget there. I said I wanted to get into some criticism for the offense in the second half. And Jerry, the drive that I want to point to is the one that they didn't score a touchdown on. So the Bills go up 35-31, and then they force a 3-and-out from New England Patriots, and they get the ball back. There's 5 minutes and 8 seconds left, and you're thinking, okay, a 2-score lead here. This is done. This is done. The Bills run it on first down for 5 yards with James Cook. Then on second down, they run it for a yard with James Cook. And so it's 3rd and 4, and they run the Ty Johnson screenplay that relies on a block from Josh Palmer. Right. And here's my problem, Jerry. Everything's on the line with that drive, and you made it irrelevant that Josh Allen was your quarterback. He didn't matter. Jerry, he didn't matter. I could have went in and handed the ball to James Cook twice and thrown that screen to Ty Johnson. He has to matter in that moment. Did we watch the Bengals game? On 3rd and 4, you're not going to give Josh a chance to do it? It's a pass to Ty Johnson on a screen where you're counting on receivers to block when they're playing top down? I'll tell you what, I'm glad it worked out, but if it didn't and you gave the ball, and the defense goes 4 plays and out and ends the game on the next possession. So no harm, no foul, but on 3rd and 4, Josh Allen's got to do more than throw a screen pass to Ty Johnson with everything on the line.
That's why I wish that he had a little more. I wish he had a little more Jim Kelly in him. I wish he had a little more Aaron Rodgers in him. I wish he had a little more Brett Favre in him. I wish he had a little bit of, when that play's called, he changed it and went to something else and then lived with the consequences. But he's not that guy. He's going to run the play that's called, and he's got abilities to change the play within the structure. But in that case, and I talked about it earlier on that Ty Johnson screen, they were running to that before the play was even completed. They knew it was coming. And I'm with you. When you have 17, you've got to give him a two-way go. You've got to give him a two-way go. He's too damn good. He does too many good things with the football in his hand. And to throw that pass, that was kind of a surrender play to me. And I don't like surrender in that situation. And you can think that's too strong of a term, but to me, that is a surrender play. We're not going to run it again, so you can't tell us we ran it 3 times in a row, but we might as well run it 3 times in a row because that pass there was basically a run. And the other thing I look at is this, and yeah, Josh Palmer's a nice player. I like his skill set. Him being out as long as he was out, wouldn't it be awesome to have Gabe Davis in there blocking on that? I mean, I understand that, it still was going to be tough to get there because they had 2 guys rallying downhill. Gabe Davis would have buried that guy. I know Gabe Davis. I know his skill set too, right? And he's a tremendous blocker. So we've been told that Keon Coleman can block too. So so I was really a little bit discouraged about the situation with the personnel as well, who you're asking to make that block. But yeah, I'm 100% with you. You cannot take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands in those types of situations. Whether you're scared of a turnover or not, I don't care. You got to let him make plays.
I look forward to kind of really looking back at the play, and I don't know, maybe Josh alerted into it. That's totally possible. But
right.
That one just did not sit well with me. And if they would have punted it back and Drake May led the drive, that's your third down call. That'd be tough.
Yeah.
That'd be tough. I know we're talking about things that didn't happen, but the possibility was there because of how they managed that particular situation. Let's talk defense a little bit here. Obviously, they wake up in the second half. They limit New England to 7 points in the second half. They came on one kind of broken run where the Bills had it bottled up, completely bottled up. The backside was not secure, but ultimately Drake May in the second half goes 4 of 11 for 41 yards and an interception. Meanwhile, Josh Allen, 14 of 20 for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half. I thought the Bills obviously got some huge stops. The Matt Milano sack felt just huge. I mean, just an unbelievable effort to kind of continue to play through that contact and get Drake May down on the ground. But 2 sacks for Matt Milano in this one. Greg Rousseau with another sack in the second half of this game. Trey White with an interception. I know it was more of an arm pump, but you can't. I think the momentum there matters. You know,
Yes.
I'd rather have the Trey White interception than a punt that would have been to the same spot.
Because what do you have in punts? You have an opportunity to muff
Sure.
a return.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll take the interception all day long.
Defense came to life, but to see Matt Milano make some big plays, to see Trey White make some big plays, a huge pass breakup on third down as well. They challenged him in the end zone. He was able to win that rep as well. Some of those old timers getting it done in big moments here for this Bills defense.
Matt Milano's healthy. His pec is healthy. He's playing at a level that he was playing at earlier in the year before the pec injury. It's obviously when you see the older guys doing this, it's health wise. Okay, he is healthy and playing well. I can't say enough whether he was 85%, 90%, 75%. Joey Bosa in the lineup makes a difference. Yeah. Even if he's not healthy enough to get to the quarterback, his mind, his experience. How big was the play? Instead of, needlessly chasing Drake May, I'd put the brakes on and bat that pass down. That was huge. That was experience. That was a guy that's been in this league and understands things. Joey almost got home a few times. It was palpable, the difference with him in the game than what we saw from some others. And then, of course, Rousseau, arguably, you could probably say maybe played his best game of the year today. He got push on the tackles. He was seen back there. Drake May felt his presence. And with Joey Bosa and Rousseau doing that, that's what allowed Milano to come in and clean things up. And that, we talk, McDermott says it all the time, the mesh between coverage and pass rush. We saw that much, much more today than we've seen in previous games.
Matt Milano actually said words after the game. He said, quote, "It's a full game. You just got to keep playing." Thank you, Matt Milano, and more of a thank you for the 2 sacks that you delivered.
Yes.
So Greg Rousseau, he had that big tackle for loss as well. That got the Patriots into that 3rd and 15, and then they hit the throw to Hunter Henry. It's like, oh come on, right? There were some moments in this game where the Bills kind of had them behind the sticks, and it just felt like it was going to unravel, but ultimately, the Bills do enough in this game, and they got out of some situations. I mean, I think about the touchdown run by Josh Allen that was called back on the O'Cyrus Torrence hold, and maybe that's a soft call. But my initial thought on that, Jerry, on that call on O'Cyrus Torrence was, whether it's a soft call or not, like, have better technique. Get your hands on surface and play with good technique. I think you can't put yourself in that type of position when it felt like that was a run call.
Well, you get in these situations as a fan watching games, and what had just happened, New England does not only not get the interception, they give the tie to the receiver, and they call the pass interference on top of it, which extends the drive. Then we score, and you get the O'Cyrus Torrence hold, and the first thing I'm screaming is makeup call. And then I saw the play itself, and it was a mugging, honestly. I mean, he should have been called for holding, and there was a couple times Dion didn't get called that he probably might have been called as well, but still, it was a hold. Have better technique. But I kind of sent you a text in the game and talking about some things. The way the Bills do some stuff pass rush wise does bring up some holding calls, and it does bring up some difficulties in passing off some of those stunts that other teams do. But it was all in all. I mean, you can't. I thought that they botched the first blitz pickup. They were very poor on it. So basically, what had happened was when the first sack where the defensive tackle drops, the 3 technique drops, and they were sliding to that 3 technique. And the linebacker they were sliding to, and it's obvious that I think David Edwards now has taken control of calling who they're going to in pass protection. That's his job. He points to the guy they're going to. They slide to the left. The 3 technique drops, and that linebacker they're sliding to comes back over the top of McGovern to Torrance's side. Well, when that's being done, you see Edwards get off and try to knock McGovern over. McGovern is face into the guy's chest and just can't get off of it. And you see Torrance like, that's our guy, but I can't come off of this yet because I haven't been knocked off. They still would have had 1 free runner because they brought 2 to the right. But Josh can handle 1. He can't handle 2. Right. So that's where that whole thing falls into place. So that was on the offensive line there. That was botched. But they did have some clean pockets we talked about earlier that Josh was a little bit unnecessarily sped up in his process, got a little nerved up. But for whatever reason, they settled down in that second half. And I think a big part of that, Joe, is the fact they got that running game going, which kind of settled things down and opened some things up for them.
How about Ray Davis in this game as a kick returner? This is becoming a thing, right? Like he is helping this offense start with better field position. 335-plus yard kickoff returns. That ties the Bills' record for the most since 1991. Ray Davis, Leotis McKelvin, Roscoe Parrish, the others that have done this. And early in the game, they weren't able to make that matter, right? They had a nice return and wind up not getting any points. But I think Ray Davis and his impact as a kick returner has really helped this offense. And I'll spike the ball a little bit here, Jerry. Whenever the dynamic kickoff changed, my initial thought on what style of player was needed to be a good kick returner was we don't really need the speed anymore.
No.
Like you need somebody that can handle some traffic around their feet, right? And high step out of there and maybe break a tackle or shake out of a tackle. Like that's what's going to matter. I think you need traditional running backs in these types of plays that, and I'm not sitting there saying that, you can't have, your little lightning in a bottle type guy, but I think true running backs that can handle that traffic around their feet are going to be the ones that are going to get you these returns that are going to push you more towards midfield. Maybe they don't score, but I think you're going to get a lot more in the way of explosive returns and consistency when you have that true running back. And it feels like Ray Davis is settling into this role, which is good because the role on offense really isn't there.
Right. And, I'm going to spike the ball a little bit too for us. I think this game, we had our show on Thursday. I think we were pretty tuned in to some things that needed to happen for the Bills to win this game. And we had that whole segment about X factors, and we talked about kick return and starting positions, and the Bills hasn't been very good. And then today they come right out of the box. I think there was only 1 return that they barely got to the 30. After that, highlighted by that Ray Davis 58-yarder, they gave the Bills great field position all day. So yes, I think you're right. Now don't sell Ray Davis short either. I mean, remember he had that big time catch and run for the first down also in going into the red zone too. I can't remember exactly where it was.
Yeah, it was important. But overall not nearly the role he had last year in this offense.
Exactly. So, and why is that? I don't think they're mad at Ray Davis. It's the fact that number 4 is playing at a level that's right now unmatched by a lot of people.
Another special teams note that I think has kind of gotten lost in this year is Mitch Wishnowsky's doing a good job as a big punter. He really is. They stumbled into it. It's the 3rd punter of the year, but he's a heck of a find. And obviously the field goal operation hasn't missed a beat. Matt Prater entering this game was 90% on field goals. And so that's obviously been pretty seamless, but let's not, for as disappointing as that 3rd down call was, Mitch Wishnowsky with a 50-yard punt with a 2-yard return from Marcus Jones and a really nice tackle down the field by, I think it was like Sam Franklin, Cam Lewis kind of combining for that was really important to maximize the amount of field that they had to go. I mean, it was the Patriots with their chance to have a game-winning drive. They started inside their 20. And in this new NFL, drives that start inside the 20 feel like they're an eternity of ways to go. And I thought that was a big moment there when you're obviously having to rely on your defense. You want that special teams to do its part. And Wishnowsky certainly, I think, has been a really good punter for this Bills team.
Yeah, I'd like to throw some love towards Khalil Shakir as well. On the flip side of it, he had some tough catches to make in the return game, in the punt game. Obviously, that snow, the wind was causing that ball to move. He did a really good job in his decision-making of when not to make the catch, and then made a couple of tough catches to not pin the Bills back inside their own 15 or 10-yard line and just, got 5 or 6 keep that thing positive. So, a lot of love to him as well, because he's kind of been, a little bit thrust into that role because of some of the stuff with, Codrington getting moved on and the likes. But he's doing a very good job being a reliable guy back there as far as taking care of the football and making sure that Bills offense has as good a field position as they can have.
All right, we got one more segment for you here today. Want to spend some time getting into maybe some of your comments. So if you have a question or a comment, be sure to fill up the chat here on YouTube if you're part of our live audience. And then there's a bit of history that we need to celebrate on the other side of it. I'll tell you what that is here next, folks. Be sure to stick with us. Jerry Ostroski, for right now, the biggest claim or the most significant claim that the Buffalo Bills have to NFL history is that they made it to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. They won 4 consecutive AFC championships.
Yes.
And the Kansas City Chiefs had the opportunity to do that this year. Well, they're not going to get to the postseason, Jerry. The Kansas City Chiefs are eliminated. The Bills reset the clock on everybody as it relates to consecutive Super Bowls. And for something that I thought I'd never see that was in jeopardy this year, I am not ashamed to say that I am celebrating that the Bills remain the only team in NFL history to win 4 consecutive conference championships.
I'm not sure if this is a Nick Bonacotti pop the champagne moment, because you'd like to have a couple of Super Bowl titles under your belt, but I will say this, I am celebrating as well. I do feel bad for Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if you watched the end of that game. Mahomes carted off the field, helped off the field with a seemed to be a pretty serious knee injury. I don't think it's an ACL. It might be, but I don't think it is. But he was obviously not able to put any weight on it, helped off by 2 to 3 guys. So tough deal on their part. But yeah, I mean, all things do come to an end. And I think it's people don't realize just how hard it is to do what the Buffalo Bills did back in the late 80s, early 90s. It's something that I don't know. Maybe it will be, but I don't know if it'll ever be done again. I mean, that's an incredibly, if there is a consolation prize in not winning a Super Bowl, that would be it.
Well, a healthy season for Patrick Mahomes, no playoffs. A healthy season for Joe Burrow, no playoffs. Maybe the Bills don't go to the Super Bowl this year, but I think Jeremy White is making some really good points about how, where's the criticism for that?
Yes.
Why are we already ready to jump on Josh Allen for not going to the Super Bowl this year when Mahomes and Burrow didn't get their team to the playoffs? Where's the energy for that?
Well, I think they're in the same boat. I mean, you've already seen people, the comments that you hear about Josh Allen in Buffalo, I've amazingly heard and seen some of the same ones about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
It's crazy.
About Andy Reid, his wasting Patrick Mahomes' prime years. I'm like, are we seriously having this conversation? But it is. I mean, it's part of the deal. It's part of being a fan of a team and a franchise. And, the stakes are high, and it is what it is. I think everybody that takes part in it understands it, and it comes with the territory. But right now, I think that, what'll be interesting to see, Joe, what I want to see out of this is I'm really interested to see the narrative out of Foxborough, the narrative out of New England. And was this a game that the Bills won, or was this a game that the Patriots just blatantly gave away? And, will the Bills get their respect for doing what they did in the second half, which was as dominating as the Patriots were in the first half?
Yeah.
The Bills were equally as dominating or more in the second half. And, I'm curious to see what that narrative is out of Foxborough in the next couple days.
Well, I don't think it should be that the Patriots gave the game away. They had every opportunity to win it. Josh Allen led 5 consecutive touchdown drives, and no, none of them was a one-play 65-yard run from the running back. Here are the achievements of the Bills' 5 consecutive touchdown drives. 7 plays, 42 yards. 6 plays, 44 yards. 11 plays, 70 yards. 13 plays, 91 yards. 7 plays, 65 yards. Come on. Make a stop. Make a stop. The Bills made the stops. The Patriots didn't. The Bills won the game. But I do like the idea of going into this talking point. Like, what does this mean, right? So if you are a Patriots doubter and you wanted to throw water over their 11-2 record entering this game and how they had won 10 games in a row, and you wanted to point to they had the softest schedule in the league, and their only good win came against the Bills, which has now been avenged. What does this say about this New England Patriots team? Like, are you buying them as a team that can go on a deep run, or is this a team that is telling you that they got some scars to gain along the way before we consider them in that type of light?
I think they do have some scars, and I think some of it is Drake May's got to get the experience in big games. And when you play us, you hear all the time, and they even said it on the TV broadcast, well, you can't apologize for the schedule that the NFL gives you.
Yeah.
You're right. You play the games they give you. But when your second game against the Bills is only the second game that you've played where you've really faced that adversity, whether I know they lost to whoever, but that's fine. That was early, but I'm just telling you, adversity-wise, easy schedules don't teach you anything as far as the tough times go. And the Bills had such a tougher schedule. They had it from the past, but they were battle tested this year, and that's a difference, especially late in the season. And then the other thing is, and can we not go back to the narrative of this whole Stephon Diggs thing? Stephon Diggs is doing exactly what he's done throughout the latter part of his career. He starts hot, he fades in the end of the year.
Sure does.
It's what he does.
Sure
he
does.
was an outside receiver early. They moved him to the slot because he fades, and he had one catch for one first down. End of discussion. I know that everybody loves Mac Hollins. He made that one catch he made was a tough catch. He did some good things. But Mac Hollins is what he is. He's a good complementary piece that blocks well in the running game and gives reporters and everybody something to talk about with no shoes and no shirts on in cold weather. But that doesn't mean you need to pay him $2 to $3 million more because of that.
Hey, he burned some calories out there with some of those celebrations, man.
Yes.
Just
yes.
all kinds of flailing, moving parts. I mean, I hope that was worth it for him.
I just thought that's the one thing that the Bills did. As much as they had trouble in the first half and gave up those plays on the defense, they were here. They were level the whole game. They were level. And the only time you saw Josh really lose his mind was after the victory. You saw him after the victory kneel down. He was doing some pretty good screaming. But that's the difference between battle-tested teams and teams that hadn't been there yet that are trying to figure out how to get there more often.
Fun history made by the Bills in this game that I'd love to shout out here at the end of the show. We already talked about Dawson Knox becoming the Bills' all-time leader in receiving touchdowns by a tight end. Hopefully Dalton Kincaid is going to take that one from him in a few years. But how about this one? James Cook, now fifth in terms of rushing touchdowns in Bills history. He ties Fred Jackson for fifth most rushing touchdowns in Bills history. Reed Ferguson, now second place in franchise history for most consecutive games played, topping Steve Christie, 145 games in a row for Reed Ferguson. I know that you're a big fan of Steve Christie, a former teammate of yours. But here's the one that I really like. The Bills have now collected their seventh consecutive 10-win season, only the sixth team in the history of the NFL to reach double-digit wins for 7 consecutive seasons. I know it hasn't ended in the win that we want the most. A lot of good things have happened under this regime.
Very, very good things. And I'll take the bait and I'll say it. And I don't care. Find me somebody that can do that. Go find me just somebody that can do that. Especially in the situations and scenarios that the Bills have found themselves in the last couple of years with health and injuries and things like that. Go find me somebody.
The Bills get it done. They stay alive. 35-31 winners over the New England Patriots. Next up, it's the Cleveland Browns. Did Myles Garrett get that freaking sack record taken care of?
I hope so, because I don't want him to get it against Deion.
We're going to have to deal with that. I know he got one, so if he didn't get it today, he's probably in striking distance, and I'm sure he's going to get it. But one thing I can promise you, that old Josh Allen's not going to Brett Favre this thing. You're going to have to get him down for real.
I've been really contemplating this one. Is this the old heavyweight matchup to where we line up and say, okay, we're one-on-one, we're mano-a-mano the whole game, and we get after it? Or will we actually see an opportunity to where the Bills might, give Deion a little bit of help? I don't know, man. I know what I would do. What I would do is every pass play, no matter what it was, from Spencer Brown to the left, we'd all slide to wherever Myles Garrett is. Whatever side he lines up on, that's where all 5 guys are sliding to. But that's just me.
So he had 1.5 sacks today. So he's up to 21.5. So does he need 23 to break it?
I think so.
So 1.5 to break it. That'll be an annoying thing to have to deal with all week. And that game is in Cleveland. So we know how that's going to go. The Cleveland Browns lose 31-3 to the Bears.
Ooh.
So boy, take care of your business next week, Buffalo. We'll obviously spend some time this week getting ready for that. Of course, throughout Locked On Bills, all the normal programming that you normally get from Locked On Bills is coming your way. My traditional post-game reaction, I'm going to get to work on that here in just a few minutes. So that's coming your way later today. We'll do the All-22 review. Bill Squad back again for you on Thursday. Myself, Jeremy White, we will share the closing thoughts that we have on this one and any of the storylines throughout the course of the week. And then we'll start to get ready for the Browns. I think the Bills got through this game pretty healthy. Was it Connor McGovern maybe went to the tent? But that
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about getting through games healthy. It doesn't matter. You got to get through the week of practice healthy as well for the Buffalo Bills. So we're just holding our breath all the time as it relates to availability. Heck, you can't even get through warm-ups. Daquan Jones before the Atlanta game. So it's never safe when it comes to
I'll be honest with you, if I was Sean McDermott, we wouldn't see Benford next week either.
Oh yeah. What are you worried about? Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman? Yeah. There's no reason to force him back in there. No. I agree with that. All right, Jerry. Well, Bills win, and these roller coasters, they're something. But at least the Bills win, and we get to have fun celebrating that, and the Bills stay alive here in the AFC East. All right, Jerry. Thank you for a great conversation. We missed Jeremy White, of course, here today, and we look forward to getting back with him later in the week. We hope that you enjoy your Victory Monday, and until next time, go Bills.
Much love. Go Bills.